So it's a brief presentation. I don't have much on the slides. So there's not much notes taking that anyone has to do here. Let's keep it interactive. Let's keep it more of a Q&A kind of a session, because that's what is more important. I mean, I can always give you some numbers. I can always give you some mumbo jumbo about the industry. But then practical on-ground discussion would happen only when you ask a lot of questions. Right? So before we proceed, here is a bit about me. So I head Time Institute. I have done an MBA in marketing. I have done my MBA from ISB Hyderabad, as well as way back in 2009 from TFI Management Institute. I worked with Citibank and HDFC Bank earlier. I worked there for close to 3 years. And after that, I started this training industry. I ventured into this training industry. And since then, I've been taking a lot of seminars, workshops. If there are some of you who are preparing for CAT, then I also prepare students for CAT, teaching them logical reasoning and data interpretation. Right? So this is the scenario. This is the education industry in India. A lot of good numbers there to actually look at for people who are thinking of venturing into education sector. So we have the largest population in the world, of course. That is something which we all know. We have close to 250 million people or students going to school, which is more than any other country. India has a large English speaking population. Now, why is this critical? Because it makes it easier for any edtech player to deliver their content. So, of course, we still need regional language content, but then because we have so many people speaking a common language called English, it becomes much more easier to communicate, to share your knowledge or share your information with them. So, that is a key point that we can look at. Also, this is one sector which allows 100% FDI, so you don't have to really go through a lot of hassles. For business owners who are looking for foreign investments, that's one place where they can focus on. And some more data saying that the total investment that Indian edtech startups have received in financial year 22 was close to 3.94 billion. All these numbers really tell us a very good story. It paints a very rosy picture that edtech is the place to be in. Everyone should get into. But then there is this number, which makes us wonder that when we have such a huge market, when we have such a huge population whom we can train, whom we can teach, why are Indian edtech companies bleeding? Why are they not working the way they should have? What is not good under the hood? So they have been firing. I mean, I will not be naming a lot of companies here. I don't think that is the agenda of the talk. But I'm sure you all are updated with this, that a lot of unicorns have started laying off their employees. They are not doing really well. So the winter has come, the funding has really frozen, and they don't know where to go ahead. Why is this happening? Can anyone from the audience, I mean, on Zoom, share their views? Why do you think Indian edtech companies are struggling right now? Anyone?
I mean, like, according to me, like after pandemic, since now we are back to the conventional ways of teaching, like it's on one-to-one interaction. Maybe like EdTech provide you like good solutions. You can have great modules over your desktop and you can access it anywhere. But when it comes to the conventional way of teaching, they are like, it is more preferred by the students as well as the parents, because they have somewhat faith in them, and that's why the subscription and the number of users, the monthly users, is constantly declining over edtechs, I believe.
Correct. So recovering from COVID was the worst thing to happen to edtech. COVID was the golden period for them. They raised a lot of money during that period. Yes, Vikas, you have a question. I think Vikas has raised his hand.
And sir, I also feel that during the pandemic time, sir, since the edtech growth was very large, so sir, they hired a lot of people, and sir, now things are back to normal. So sir, they need to fire people. So layoffs are there, sir.
Correct. But when we say this, that this pandemic, they hired a lot of people, and now that things are normal, they have to fire them. Don't we think that they expected this pandemic growth to continue? I mean, they also knew this pandemic is not going to be forever. It will get over one day, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So they knew that there will come a time when people would not be forced to go online. They will have a choice. But did they not forecast this dip in the demand? Something didn't work out. I mean, when we start a business, let's say a food business or a restaurant business, what generally people say is once people get used to your taste, you don't have to advertise. They'll come to your cafe, they'll come to your restaurant on their own. Edtech got a period of 2 years to actually make people taste their course, their curriculum, their teachers, their platform. But even in these 2 years, they did not succeed in making people used to it. They're not succeeding in making people really addicted to edtech platforms. And you both are right in saying that the sudden dip in demand, and when I guess Shvanshu added that parents are now preferring old school classrooms. They are not sticking to it, maybe because of no personal attention given by online portals, maybe because of many other reasons. So the next slide discusses this only. Why are they bleeding? High cost of acquisition. So cost of acquisition, high customer acquisition cost as they call it, has been phenomenally high in edtech. Since day one, they were spending a lot of money on acquiring new customers. So recently, we all must have read the news. One particular company has hired Messi for their promotions, right? Now that this kind of a role model or a brand ambassador comes at a price. Hiring salespeople at a very high salary or a high CTC, all these things meant that the customer acquisition cost was very, very high. Before pandemic, some data says that these companies used to spend close to 10 to 15% of their revenue on customer acquisition. During the pandemic, when things were going good for them, that number increased to 40 to 50% of their revenue in customer acquisition. Some data says that companies, some of the unicorns are investing 35 to 40,000 rupees in acquiring a single customer. What does this do? It means that the unit economics, a lot of you are startup enthusiasts, so you would understand the unit economics has taken a dent, and investors are not looking at it very nicely. They are saying that you are going to charge people a certain amount of money. You cannot go above and beyond that. But because your acquisition cost is so high. So I am in a traditional business. I'm sure some of you have heard of time or have prepared with time. When we look at our customer acquisition cost, it never goes above 10%. No matter what happens. Why? Because we have been able to create that brand name, because we've been able to deliver those results. Over the years, we have to spend close to 5-6% on advertising and 4-5% on sales. That's it. But these companies have constantly felt the need to fuel their growth, a high cost customer acquisition cost. And as a result, unrealistic pricing models. So for a middle class family, of course, I understand there are people who send their kids to very high fees schools, but for a middle class family where annual fees for a school was 30-40,000, these people came up with a pricing model which required them to spend similar or even more amount on a tuition class. So a parent whose child is in 8th standard or 10th standard, when they wanted to send their kid to a particular online education or online portal, they realized you'll have to spend more than the fees of our school. And that is something which was not acceptable to them. So you give them discounts, you give them offers, they'll be on board with you. But once you take away those offers, this pricing model doesn't work. There is a point in chat. Just a sec. Yeah, physics wala case. Sure, Ankit, we'll do that. Contextual integration is missing. In this one, I am specifically talking about tuitions. So multiple companies came up with tuition classes in online mode. So what they did is, if you remember your childhood days when you used to go to a tuition teacher, after school you will go home, you will have your lunch, and then 4 o'clock we'll go to a tuition wale bhaiya or didi, whatever you used to call them. And the first question they would ask, what did they teach you in school? Then they will check your work, whatever was taught in school. And basis that, they will plan that day's session, helping you revise whatever was taught in school and then building on that. These online portals, because they were not a one-on-one kind of a model, they did not have the ability to reach every single child. They said, whatever you study in school, that's one thing. We will teach you certain other things. Of course, in the exam, you will benefit, but on a daily basis, parents fail to see any progress. The time spent by a child in a school is 6 to 7 hours, and parents realize that is going for a toss, that's completely wasted. On the other hand, a physical tuition teacher used to build on those concepts. So in tuitions, this is something which has really not worked for online education platforms. This is where competitive exam training, I feel Edtech needs to work more on. You watch any of the advertisements, be it for IIT JEE, be it for your CAT or other UPSC or other government exams, very rarely you will find a result-oriented promotions or advertising being done by online education portals. They will promote their faculty team, maybe. They will promote their animations. They will promote their efficiency of their portal. They will promote the hours of study that they give. But very rarely we find them promoting their results or outcome-oriented approach. That has really, I feel personally, on a personal level, that is where traditional institutes for UPSC, for GATE exams, for CAT, for any GMAT, they have succeeded. People can clearly see that these are the people who went to this institute and that's why they succeeded. That is why we need to go and join this institute. So that is another reason, according to me, that is not worked for them. I'm sorry. Now, these are the problems. What are the opportunities for future startups? A lot of you are thinking of starting a company. Many of you are already working in a startup or have some ideas that they are going to execute in next few months or years. What is the opportunity that is staring at us? Number one, try to offer customization. Every industry has gone through this cycle that they had to customize their product for the consumer, end consumer. Take, for example, one of the industries which earlier seemed impossible to customize was the paint industry. So Asian Paints, Berger, Dulux. So go back 20 years in time, when you used to go to a shop to purchase paint for your house, they will have a shade card which will have 20-25 colors on them, those small bricks of colors. You put a finger on one of those, you'll go and check in the store. If that color is available, they will give it to you. Otherwise, they will say, choose another one. And people used to accept that model for years. Now, if any of you have recently gone and purchased paints, and it's not just now, around 15 years back, this technology came in. They are doing end-point customization for us. Has anyone purchased paint recently?
Yeah, I actually, my home got whitewashed. So now they have this sort of a machine. So we pick a color, they just type in the code and we get the customized color as well.
Correct. So now they don't have to keep a lot of inventory of all the colors. They will have a base color which is white, and then they will have dyes of different colors which are computerized in that machine. And as he rightly mentioned, you punch in the code of that color, those many drops of red, green, blue, RGB will fall into it, and voila, you will get the color. That is what customization is. education, especially edtech industries, need to get some technological revolution to make this happen. If we remember our childhood when we were in school, the teacher used to customize the offering as much as possible. So if there is a weak student in the class, teacher will slow down their speed. If they find there are these 3 students who are really intelligent, why don't we teach them at a faster pace, throw at them tougher questions? Teacher used to customize their offering. Online education platforms, edtech platforms are not able to do it. I know for a fact because I keep a track of my competitors who take online CAT coaching. They have to maintain a very, very slow pace of teaching because they have to cater to the lowest common denominator ending the class. So a person who is intelligent gets bored in that classroom. The person who is intelligent feels, I am able to solve these in 30 minutes, but the teacher is taking 1.5 hours. My 1 hour is getting wasted. So customization, if at all any of you is thinking into edtech, think how is this possible? So one-on-one teaching is a possibility, but it's not economically viable because economy of scale does not allow you to do that. You cannot end up investing one teacher teaching one student at a time. Something else needs to come up. What is that? You guys have to answer. High quality result oriented approach. Now this is again something which some of the platforms are missing, the quality bit. Hiring process or the selection process for trainers or teachers in many of these platforms is not standardized, does not ensure that only good quality teachers make it into the system. Many a times teachers who are not really good, teachers who are not well versed with their subject, make it into the system because, of course, there is no standardization of process, because there is no high filter being put there to select these people. I mean, there was this startup which was recently acquired by a unicorn or a decacorn, I must say. They used to promote their employment thing as we are giving a chance to all the housewives and people who have lost their jobs since a long time to become teachers. Come join us and become teachers. While this is a noble thought, I agree that we should try doing that, but then not at the cost of quality. You need to hire teachers on your pay scale. You need to hire teachers on your pay grade. Bridge courses. This is again an opportunity which I see. In fact, I keep talking about it with a lot of my friends that academia and industry bridging is still not happening the way it should have. Our school courses or our college level courses are not really helping students to become proficient professionals. And that is where we still have space for a startup who can fill this gap. I'm sure you guys must be using Coursera or Udemy to upskill yourselves on a regular basis. But it's still something on a larger scale, something on a more relevant scale, something that can act as an aggregator for all these requirements is needed. For corporates, recently this startup called Harappa has come up and it's doing a fantastic job. They're teaching some of the things which people need to grow in their jobs, in their corporate life. But something that can help. I'm sure your colleges would have training and placement cells. The original idea of training and placement cell was to do this only, to act as a bridge between the company and the college, the academia and the industry. But fortunately or unfortunately, training part has been omitted, only placement is being focused on. Training is something that we still have to work on. So if any of you can come up with a good bridge course, that's where a good opportunity lies. Finally, hybrid models. As you know already, all the leading players who started off as online players are shifting to hybrid models. Byju's has started their tuition centers. Unacademy has started their physical centers. Byju's acquired Akash in order to get into physical brick and mortar model. So all these players are moving towards this hybrid nature. What I feel, vice versa is also true. All the offline players are also now aspiring to go into online mode. So all the coachings in Pota, so Allen or Bansal classes or Resonance, all of them are trying to move into virtual mode as well. But I still feel there is a space for a person, for an entity that starts with this thought only that we have to go hybrid. So on one hand, we have online portals shifting to offline, but then in their head, their major focus is on online model. On the other hand, we have offline models shifting to online, but their major focus is that they know our offline game is the place where we are strong. Let's stick to it. Someone who can merge these, of course, it is difficult. The reason someone has not done it already is because offline model requires much more investment compared to an online model. You have to grow a network of institutes across the country. You have to invest in each of those physical premises that you are going to come up with. So it's a long and tedious process. But maybe someone can start small and eventually grow into it. Somebody had a question about Physics Wala. Physics Wala is a good example for now, as we can see, that it has tried to strike a balance between the cost of customer acquisition cost as well as the pricing that they are offering to the parents. One of the major differentiator that Physics Wala being run by Alakh Pandey is that it is very, very economical. A lot of people can study for IIT JEE at a very low price. And they are able to do it because till now they were not spending a bomb on their marketing and promotions. Only people who were in 11th and 12th and their parents used to know Physics Wala. It is very recent phenomenon that they got funding and now everyone knows them. So my 2 cents on it is, if even after receiving this investor money, they stay true to their roots, they stay true to what they were doing earlier, they would continue to thrive and grow. But if they change their model, if they get into getting celebrity endorsements, they get into Bollywood stars actually going out and promoting them, I really doubt. Again, I'll ask you guys to remember any educational institute that you studied or that is good never hired a celebrity to promote themselves. Any of the old Kota, you remember Kota coachings? Their celebrities used to be their faculty. This XYZ sir, this XYZ man, this teacher, this bhaiya, whatever they used to call them. They never used celebrities to promote themselves. Their celebrities were their teachers. So that model, according to me, I'm sure there would be takers for the other model as well. But according to me, that is where it should stick to. Another business that has recently come into picture, and I really closely observe them and I feel they're doing good, is there is this Sunstone University. So there is a group of people who started this university model named as Sunstone. So what they are doing is they go to any college which is already running an MBA program. They do a tie-up with them and they say that we will run your MBA, we'll run your MBA course, and you don't have to worry about admissions, you don't have to worry about the faculty, you don't have to worry about placements. Only thing you need to give us is the physical premise and the accreditation that you get from the university. So let's say in your city, there is an ABC university. It has affiliated this college. Sunstone will go there, take care of the entire spectrum of things, provide them placements, provide them everything, and of course, take a share out of the overall revenue. I find this model really appealing, that you don't have to worry about hybrid investments, but you still end up getting some physical infrastructure working for you. Of course, there are loopholes right now. These guys are IMT Ghaziabad graduates and doing a fantastic job in running this business. Any questions? I have a few chats.
I actually was wondering one thing. since you like in between mentioned about the staff earlier in the quota, the faculties they are having, they are their celebrities. Like when I was studying in my during my JEE preparations, we used to have this founders batch, which used to have those prime teachers. So there is one thing which I recently I was wondering, like these good teachers are quite hard to like retain as well. Like since you are also running an institute, you are managing it, so you and do you face this problem, like these are quite hard to retain, these good staff, they get easily attracted by good amount, so eventually they are your celebrities and you are actually losing on those celebrities. So is that a problem like the conventional education institutes are having, whereas edtech is able to play really well in that spectrum because they can have these good teachers, and they do not, and these teachers do not require to put that much effort as compared to in conventional classes? Because conventional classes, for example, you are coming daily, you are giving lectures for 4 hours, but in edtech you can just get a big chunk of money and you can have this recorded lecture given to like these students continuously. So do you think that is a problem and it can be dealt with in some good way for the conventional classes?
So yes, attrition is a problem. Like any other industry, this is also a place where we have to ensure manpower does not go away. And also, as rightly mentioned by you, our manpower is much more critical than any other industry. I mean, let's say you're an IT company, your client does not really bother if 3 people from your team have left. Somebody else will fill in the shoes. But the students really take teachers moving out very, very seriously. So initially, all the coaching institutes, all the training institutes tried to control this by coming up with legal contracts, but that didn't work, and it doesn't work. In a country like India, where legal cases are pending in huge quantities in courts, a legal contract is nothing but a piece of paper. I'm sorry to say, but that's how it works. So yes, as institute, what we do is we constantly keep nurturing new talent. We never rely on single set of teachers. We always have someone to fill in their shoes. And you all will also have to do it whatever business, not just education. You open a restaurant. I give an example for restaurants because it's very touch and feel. You can imagine. So you have a master chef who runs the show for you. You always need to create an assistant chef who learns all the tricks of the trade, who slowly becomes popular amongst the customers, so that if one fine day this guy decides to leave, you have a backup plan in place. So that is one thing, nurture new talent. And from my experience of last 10 years, I think it works really well. Students don't mind if their existing teacher is replaced by another good teacher. The problem is only when existing teacher is replaced by a bad or weak teacher. But you are right in saying that the effort on part of teachers have reduced in virtual media, because now they can record their lecture, now they can actually earn royalty from their knowledge without actually working on it. But also, after talking to a lot of teachers, I've also felt that the reason people became teachers, one of the reasons was getting a chance to interact with students. So a lot of good teachers, even at my institute, if I ask a teacher, would you want to take this class in online mode or in offline mode, they'll always choose an offline mode. They say we get to. I mean, for this session as well, if you ask me, I would have loved to meet you guys in person. But as a teacher, you want more feedback from the students. You want more response from students. You don't want just one camera to be on. You want all these students to be visible. So yes, there will be constant poaching between the two industries, traditional and online. Moonlighting is a buzzword that is happening in corporate right now, but in education industry, it was always the case. So I used to have teachers who used to teach with me in the morning. In the afternoon, they will go in some college, teach there as a faculty at that college, and in the evening, they will run their own institute at some other place. So the hustle culture has always been there in this particular industry. Online education is actually supporting it. Now teachers can take classes in offline conventional center and then go ahead and teach students online in other parts of the country. Yes. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Uh,
Yes.
I'd like to ask, recently, we have seen that the government, about the government, they are like interfering in between. Like, certainly they started with cryptocurrency and fintech companies, where they told that they will interfere, and then in between they told that they'll be interfering in e-commerce companies also. Now, recently in this
Correct.
year itself, they interfered in this edtech companies also. Like, the education minister also told that he will be working on a policy to like regulate on edtech platforms. So, like, when government basically interfere in this, they definitely take a share of the profit in such companies, and companies do not like that. This is a like a
Mhm.
problem. But one of the opportunity which the government announced, in the union budget 2022, like our finance minister, Nirmala Sita Raman, she announced that they will be like forming some digital universities for colleges, like to provide
Correct.
some world class education. So this opens a kind of hub and spoke model for opportunity for edtech companies to provide an infrastructure to like the digital university. So what's your
Right.
take on that?
So, multiple questions there. I would just address them one by one. Yes, government has kept an eagle's eye or a strong watch on tech companies, especially after certain series of advertisements which were misleading in nature. So government really took notice of that. A lot of parents were suffering because of the high fees model as well as the uh, aggressive sales nature of the sales representative. So of course, government will take a notice of this and they will do something about it. Going forward, if anyone is getting into tech, they need to be aware that this is one of the areas we have to be careful about. So, if any of you has done MBA, there is a Porter's five force analysis. When you enter into a business, Porter's five force analysis is something you need to do. So, one of that forces is government. That what are the bylaws of the government in your country? You need to abide them and you have to live by. Coming to digital university, it's a great initiative. uh, it will ensure that education would reach the remotest part of the country. Good quality education would reach the remotest part of the country. But I still feel because of the low internet penetration still in our country, it will take a few years for university courses to really start benefiting the downtrodden or the people who cannot get access to physical campuses. I mean, you and I feel that smartphones and data is a very easily available thing. But if you look at the internet penetration numbers, there is still a long way to go. So that I feel is one of the immediate trouble that this program will have. Secondly, maintaining the quality of education. So in a lot of universities, they do have digital infrastructure to deliver these lectures, but their faculty members are not well versed to use them properly. And I don't know which all colleges you all belong to, but I remember that a lot of faculties faced teething troubles, especially people who are in the later part of their 45s or 50s. So enabling the professors or teachers with technology is another area. Finally, EdTech, how EdTech platforms can have a share in this pie. As you very rightly mentioned, they can become the enablers, they can become the catalyst, they can become the agents of change. So if you have a plan, if you have a proposal that you can help a university go digital, you can help a university ensure that they can do this in the right way, there lies a business opportunity. It will be a B2B business. You will not have to acquire single customer every single day. You can actually get a chunk of students through different means. And then if government becomes your buyer, if you get an entry into government universities, then of course you'll be minting money. Of course, payments are delayed, but then a lot of money is to be made there. So a good idea there, I would say. Anything else? Any other question?
Yeah. Hi, Abhishek. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so thanks. First of all, I would like to thank Starticfield and Abhishek for taking such an interesting session. So can you pitch our idea like here, like what we are doing? And I just want to get a feedback on that. Is
I,
this
I'm sorry. I mean, is it a question to me?
you? Basically, I want like we are doing something, and I just wanna like you to review it, like how
Also,
we are doing.
you want me to review?
Yeah,
Please go ahead. Pitch your idea, whatever it is.
yeah. So basically, I'm a 2021 graduate. First I would like to introduce myself. Like I'm a 2021 graduate. I have 1 year of industry experience, and in that between, like I have delivered some like shipped a product, shipped an application gradually. So I have some technical skills around that. So what I have seen is that problem is like after completing a BTech, our student is like they are having problem upskilling themselves. Like there is a literally huge gap for talented individuals in IT companies, and there are literally every plethora of resources that are available in the YouTube or in some form of content. There are free resources that are available everywhere, but
Right.
there is no structured way to like deliver it or some structured environment where people can connect and like learn together. So
Right.
recently I joined a bootcamp that was providing some classes for free. So I have taken that idea, like we were managing a Discord community. So I have taken that idea from there. Like how about we create a community for ourselves and like teach students freely for there for 6 months. Like we will create an environment. Like we will take sessions. Like if somebody is knowing something, he will teach that part, and we will bring some mentors and like bring up our connection to our community and like provide help to the students.
Mhm.
So that way we have started. I guess now we are close to 100 plus members in the past 6 months. Uh,
Very good. Mhm. Is that it, Priyansh? You want to say something more? No.
I guess it was Ankit, but he dropped
I'm
in
so
between.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
He got
Okay.
dropped in between, I guess.
Okay. Let's wait when he joins back. Maybe we can answer his question. Anyone else?
yes, uh,
Ankit is here, I
yeah,
guess.
am I audible? So, sorry, my voice
Yes,
is.
you're audible
Yeah.
now.
So basically, what we are doing, like we have some structure plan. Like in the 6 months, we will teach you a DSA and full stack like that are relevant for getting an entry level in the IT job, and it will be
Mhm.
absolutely free of cost. And like we will focus on a skill development. Like we will create an environment where people with similar goals will connect and like they will interact with each other. They will share their skills or resources that they have,
Right.
and by that way, like we have literally placed some students. Like we like Static Field is also our partner in that. Like we have recently conducted a recruitment drive for them. Like they
Very
were
good.
planning to hire 4 interns from our community only. So we are trying to build a first biggest in India tech community in terms of quality, not in terms of quantity. So we will literally improve. We are literally trying to cover the cover that student that will learn in the 4 year of BTech or BC or any other technical course. We will literally help them cover that in the 6 months. So like we have some
Right.
structured proper plan. Like in the 3 months, in the starting 3 months, like we can do DSA plus full stack parallelly. Then in the next 3 months, like we will teach them networking, how to podiums, recruiters, and other personals. And we have also we have also recruiters. Like there is a Google recruiter in our community. Like there are some mentors in our community that are willing to provide effort for the skill candidates. Like if the
Right.
candidate is having good amount of skills, he can be easily referred. So we are focusing only on skill development first. Then we know that if the candidate has good skill, if the candidate has good projects, then he can do that part. And we are also trying to like open source this whole thing. Like we are also trying to build some open source community for that, like where people can
Mhm.
get in, learn, and then they can get placed. So that's the whole crux of
Okay.
the idea.
Okay. So, if I ask you in one line, what is your USP? What makes you different from existing service providers who are doing similar work?
So firstly, like we are not providing anything. Like we are just providing them the environment, and it is absolutely free of cost. Like that is the biggest USP you can say, that you just come in the community. We only ask you to commit your time, like 1 to 2 hours daily commitment of your time daily on a daily basis. Like you have to like attend a scrum call, like that that happens in the IT. Like you have to attend a scrum call. So basically, timing will be around 9 p.m. There you will share your daily updates. So and there you can interact with other people also. Na? Okay, 20 people are in a meeting. They will share some different updates. So if that update is in your field of interest, we try to learn more and uh, learn more from that person, like what he's doing, like how he's doing. So we are basically sharing our resources and sharing our the multiple skills. So basically, our community is very diverse. If you see in our community, there are members from first year, second year, and there are even some members who are from 2016 batch. Yeah, there is a girl in our community who's passed out from NFIT. He has done, well, she has done from his majors in fashion design, but she want to like move.
So, if I understand it correctly, you're trying to build a community where knowledge transfer can happen smoothly, specifically pertaining to technology domain, specifically pertaining to. I'm sorry, am I audible?
Yeah.
Just a second. So, whenever we try to create communities, I feel that we need to be really fast in the initial stage. If you don't grow fast enough, such communities die.
Yeah, true.
You need to have members who are willing to contribute good quality content, join you for good. Because not exactly a similar idea, but then I'm sure you all must have heard of this app called Clubhouse, which came in.
Yeah,
and initially, everyone was talking about it, and quality content was being discussed on it. We saw a lot of celebrities, not just the film celebrities, but economists as well as your scientists going on that. But now I really doubt any of us really clicks on that app on our phone. So one point I would suggest is ensure that you have good content creators, people who are really willing to invest a lot of time to keep coming up with a lot of new things to offer to members.
Yeah, so basically, like we have onboarded recently a SD1 middle government. So he's willing to teach some DSA topic and learn system one with me. So what we are doing is like we are there is a system one topic that usually covers from SD2 or SD3 level for higher level. So he's also preparing for SD2 levels. So whatever game plan is like, if when this community grows, like we are preparing for entry level jobs. Okay, so SD1 will be the initial target. Then when this community grows, like some members who are currently in the SD1 role, after 2 to 3 years, like they will be in the SD2, SD3 role. So you will again need that resource partner, how that person has gone from SD1 to SD2. So that concept we are building upon.
Fair enough. Please move ahead in this direction only and keep adding certain people. Even if you have to spend certain amount on getting some active, good quality people in your community, please don't hesitate doing it.
Yeah. So basically, there is this platform like that schedules one-to-one meet, like Calendly and TalkNet.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we have connected the mentors. Like I have shared my idea to them, and they have literally hopped into our server and started explaining about themselves or what the help they can provide. So like we have contacted Amazon SDs, Microsoft SD, and literally many other good company SDs. So they are willing to offer their help because they have seen their struggle, like how they have struggled to reach at that point. So they want to give back to the community. Like if they can provide some help to the student, they are willing to help.
Right. Also being for them, being part of such communities has a good boast value. I mean, they can boast about it amongst their friends. I'm helping a bunch of kids here and there, doing this, I'm doing that. So continue doing that, and I mean, I'm sure it will grow eventually.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Anything else?
Yeah, and there's one question which came on to the Discord. I was checking the audience response over there because we got quite engaged in the discussion over Zoom. So someone was saying like how there is one thing in edtech industry that when they are taking tests, students generally tend to cheat on the test, and that's why their score, relative score, is quite higher, and they are able to like show it to their parents and they get impressed. And whereas when it comes to like the hybrid, the conventional mode, the scores are not that stellar as they are expecting. So is there some way that edtech can counter this? Like they can make the exams more foolproof so that the it is quite similar to the conventional exams which are taking place.
Right. So, honestly, if I share with you guys, when COVID hit us, even we were in a soup initially that how to ensure people are attentive during the classes. First of all, I mean, exams is the second part of it. Part one is ensuring that the students are really listening to the teacher. So it's a big dilemma. On one side, the teacher inside us says, let us ensure that everyone has to keep their cameras on throughout the lecture. If somebody switches off their camera, we'll throw them out of the meeting. That is the teacher side of us which says. But then the business side of things says, please don't do that. Because it doesn't make a lot of business sense to keep throwing students out of the classroom because then they will stop joining you, the bad word of mouth will go. So edtech companies must be facing this heat a lot. If they make their platform very proctored or invigilated, they must be scared of losing out on a lot of enrollments. So a test, for example, one of the ways which a lot of test taking companies did during COVID, for example, GMAT, instead of being a center based test, it became a home proctored exam. So you can sit from your home, take GMAT. Only condition was you have to keep your camera on throughout the test. There will be an invigilator who will be watching you during the course of the test. You may not be able to see them, but you have to keep your camera. So these test taking companies or these edtech companies must be wondering a lot on this question. I'm very sure. But then all the excuses in the world, we don't have a laptop with a camera, we don't have bandwidth to keep our cameras on. There is a lot of movement in the background at my home, I can't keep my camera on. So as of now, it is very difficult to answer this bit, how to ensure. Coming to specifically to tests, how to ensure your exams are foolproof and cheat proof. You need to apply some algorithms there to see the time being taken by students to answer a particular question, the time it took a student to answer a similar question in another test. For example, if I'm referring to calculator, which is not allowed in a particular exam, so I would require much lesser time than an average student who takes. So if my program, my algorithm detects this, it should blacklist that question, it should make that question null and void. So that is one way that comes to me top of the mind, that you need to put in place system which checks this kind of a cheating. Camera keeping on, I don't know. It's very difficult to force that on students to take tests. And then that is again something that can be tried. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know the answer. If I had, I would have surely utilized it. Anyone else has an answer to this question? Anyone else?
So basically what we can do is like we can track the events, what are they doing, like if somebody is cheating, like if somebody is getting some answers, what he will do is like my friends have also cheated in the one, so I know the process. Like what they will do is like first they will go to the question number one, pick up they will snap their photo, uh, like capture the photo of the question, then they will move to the second one, then they will move to the third one. So we can capture the event if the like if the process is going on that flow, it will like warn them like you can't move to the another part without using a question, like 15-second time or something like that. And then we can also check at the meeting part, like when he is submitting the question, like how we can decode is like is he submitting the question very fast, like The first question is answered in 10 seconds, then second one is seriously by 2 seconds, and that because nobody is fast enough to like compute all the question in like he's doing 10 in 10 seconds 10 questions. Nobody is fast enough to do that. So that's the
Got
first
it.
solution is
Got
like
it.
he's cheating. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, on a personal level, if I share with you what I do, of course, I deal with people who are in college, people who are in final year, and not with the school kids. School kids is a very difficult segment. When you have to control cheating and all, school kids don't feel that they are doing morally incorrect thing because they don't have that value system in place. College students, if they at least understand the concept of right and wrong, they may still go ahead and do wrong. So in all the mock tests which I conduct here at my institute, we do not have any invigilators in the classrooms. We tell the students, you want to cheat, please cheat. We don't mind. Because in the mock, you will end up scoring. But when the real exam comes, it's the score that matters. So we have seen that people hardly in our place, I mean, I would say I'm lucky in that. But offline education has this benefit that teacher can really influence the students' thought process by telling them, "Dost, aaj cheating kar lega, number le aega, you will be able to impress the girl you wanted to. But then what will you do on the actual CAT day?" So that is the power of an offline teacher, I feel. But online, yes, very difficult. Screenshots are an enemy of success. Anything else?
I mean, that was a really great explanation, and I'm having another question, and they are saying that since many of the edtech companies have a large amount of funding, they are not utilizing it for a better way of teaching, rather than they are using it for a mass advertisement. And I wouldn't name the company next to it, but it's something regarding related to football. That's all I'm going to say. So that they are saying that they are having so much amount of money, they have went for acquisitions and all, but they are not using it for actually the student benefit, they are using it for the advertisement. So is it a right practice, and how it can be avoided, and is it beneficial for edtech or not?
So advertisement and revenue growth are the lifeblood for any company. So the companies do not exist to earn profits. Companies do not exist to just advertise, but then that is important. Just like our body, we need blood to be pumped throughout, but we don't live for the sole purpose of pumping blood. So companies need to advertise. I would not say that that is not correct, that is not in place, but not at the cost of education quality. To add to it, I also feel a lot of companies are overtly getting involved into using technology to make teaching simpler. Sometimes you don't really need, I mean, our teachers used to do it with chalk and board and things became clear in our head. Let the child learn using their own intelligence as well, not make it very, very elementary, right? So using animation to explain everything. I see kids who are in fourth standard, they are being taught certain things using animation, or being taught Pythagoras theorem using animation. While it looks really cool and it looks really good on the advertisements that we can show you this 3D diagram of this, but is it needed? That is the question companies need to ask themselves. Use technology, use animation where it is needed. If you're teaching someone some medical concept, please go ahead and use technology. But teaching them some basic stuff, wasting money in that animation. For example, they are teaching you social science and they want to teach you about the, let's say, the parliament. Coming up with an animation which shows the parliament house, and inside that showing there are chairs for this, for that. What purpose is it serving? Is it helping the student? We are actually killing their imagination by showing everything to them. So again, this is my opinion on that subject. Had companies focused more on the quality of content instead of the presentation of it, things would have been better. So that would be my 2 cents on it.
I mean, I guess it was a great discussion we had today. We had some really great questions, and really you answered them really well. We had a really great idea pitch that Ankit did about what he is doing. And in the end, like we have concluded the 1 hour we actually asked you to allot to us. So now I would like to just, if you could conclude this meet, like if you can just in short for the audience, like tell them the actual 5 major problem just in one liner, what these 5 problems were, and then we can end this meet.
Right. So, edtech industry, of course, has a lot of potential. Anyone planning to venture into training, anyone planning to venture into this industry, it has a lot of scope. The problem is of course not the scalability, but the problem is reaching out to the lowest common denominator. So if you can reach out to every single student sitting in their room and make them feel that whatever they're studying is relevant, make them feel whatever they're studying is customized to their requirement, it would work out. And do all this keeping the costing or the pricing low. Because India is still a country which is in developing stage, which it still has a low per capita income. So you cannot come up with a very premium product only for the elite. You have to come up with a product that everyone can afford. So I think if you can, of course, when I say it, it sounds easy, but if you can incorporate all these things in one single product, I'm sure there will be takers for the same. That's all from my end.
Thank you, Mr. Abhishek. It was a really great session. Thank you for sparing time for us. Like, I mean, we know that you are really occupied and it's really hard. And thank you so much. I mean, it means a lot to us. And definitely the youngsters who joined us today, they must have learned something new. And I hope those who are like willing to start something in EdTech, they might have got some great insight or in education industry. And thank you so much, sir. And thank you everyone for joining us today. And have a great day ahead.
Thank you once again, guys. Do share your feedback with Shubhanshu and the team about the session, as well as if you want to even connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll be there to answer your doubts. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.